All right. I'm going to call the meeting of the Open Space Committee to order at 6:04 p.m. Right now we have Janet Brown, Charlie McDonald, Diana Fetterman, and me, Cindy Palmer, except it says Ed Gimson on because I signed in as him, and Chris Fowles is a guest right now. We do expect some more members to show up, I hope. And what we're going to do is go ahead and launch into our, at least the review of the minutes. So Diana just sent them out a couple of days ago, and there were two. My head was not in a good place when we met last, and I didn't have the earlier minutes available that Janet had taken. So has everybody here had a chance to review the minutes that Diana sent out? I could do them on share screen, but if you've read them and anybody can say whether or not they're okay, then we'll go ahead and we'll start with, let's see here.
I have read them and I have no problem with them. So
okay, the first one is, all right, then speak only for February 11th.
February 11th, okay. I will make a motion to accept them as they stand.
Do I hear a second?
A second. Do we have enough members to have for a quorum?
Well, we have a quorum. There's a committee of 7 and we're 4.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay.
785. Okay.
All right. So that one's, any discussion of, we've made a motion and it's been seconded. All in favor of accepting as written? Aye. Palmer?
Aye. McDonald?
Brown?
Aye. Fetterman?
Okay. And the next one is
February 25th.
February 25th. Everybody have a chance to review those?
I
Yes.
just have one question on that. Under the paragraph, after neighborhood outreach grant, and then it says a little bit farther down, the grant is reimbursable. Unspent funds are not received. I don't understand what that means.
What that means is we were granted a certain amount of money, $4,250. However, it's a reimbursable grant, so we have to submit, receipts of money paid in order to get reimbursed. We're not going to get the $4,250 if we don't utilize it all. Okay. So that's what it means.
Funds are not received.
Is there a better way to phrase it?
Yeah, unspent funds are not to be, have to be returned.
So they won't ever be received.
Or will not be received.
Okay, unspent. How about the unspent portion of the grant will not be received? Something like that?
That's fine.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. It is a little unclear. I got it. But okay.
I did too. Yep.
All right. Any motion to accept with that one change?
I'll make such a motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Joanne.
All in favor as edited? Palmer, yes?
McDonald, yes.
Brown, yes.
Okay, they're accepted. Great. I do have a couple of announcements to make because at 6:15 we're going to get another visitor, and that's Allison Wondriska from Friends of Southampton Open Space. And consequently, I'm going to stop that. Consequently, I'd like to at that point start talking about the Neighborhood Outreach Grant Program. We also have to review the Aquifer brochure and map that I think I have the final copies finally, but I'm going to hold off on those until a few more committee members show up, I hope. So let me just give you a few announcements that can go into the minutes. I did, and this is under old business, I did report to the select board about the Open Space Committee, as we said I would at their last regular meeting, which was 2 days ago on the 9th. Nothing special, everything you've heard before, but they didn't have any specific concerns or comments other than to kind of support us and encourage us to keep going. So I pretty much brought them up to date, including announcing that we're going to have the programs coming up and also the Barnes Aquifer brochure was announced. And I said we were working on our 2021 goals. I also want you to know that several weeks ago, there was a meeting which included our town administrator, Ed Gibson, Marla Hank, myself, Chris Fowles, and Diana Fetterman. And we discussed the fact that the Conservation Commission has been very eager for the town to acquire a 40-acre property, which is right next to a property that has been called Durrell's Path. Unfortunately, I think that's parcel 1212. I think I've got that memorized. It's okay to say who owns it. It's owned by Mr. Trinseri, and I had a lot of trouble. I haven't even to this date not been able to have an actual phone conversation to talk about the fact that the town would like to buy that property. So he asked me for an email as to what the town would pay. I supplied to him the information that I had, that it was assessed unofficially, not appraised, just the opinion of a conservation appraiser is that it's landlocked and it's woodlands, and that's going for approximately $1,000 an acre. And that was what was agreed in our previous meeting. So I've made that offer to him, and also suggested if he and his family, specifically his father, who's the owner, would want to have a official appraisal, that we would help get names for them on that. So that's exactly where it stands. I have not heard back from them. And that was 4 or 5 days ago that I had that email interaction with them.
So the total cost or the cost of the property would be about 40 acres times 1,000? Is that it?
Correct.
Okay.
So we don't have any further, report on that. Let's see here. The other thing to report, actually, I'll call this the planning board committee report, because I represent the planning board. We recently had an email to the planning board email that said that the select board, on their agenda of, I think, March 23rd, the select board will hear from the owners of the property, which is at the end of Pomeroy Meadow Road, right next to what is currently the church and was formerly the Cross property. They purchased those lots right on the road, and they came to the planning board two years ago to say that they would like to build a Dunkin' Donut there. These people are developers of Dunkin' Donuts. And so what Ed Gibson's email said is that the expectation is that the select board will probably urge them back in the direction of the planning board. So that will be for another public hearing. And I think that's important for people in the Open Space Committee to know that that's apparently going to happen. And also that the understanding would be they'd have to come before the town meeting in order to ask for a zoning change, because that property is currently zoned residential village. So it would require a zoning change to build anything on that property. So I and maybe select board members can keep us informed of that. So that's another announcement. I don't see anybody else trying to come in. Let's go ahead and do some more committee reports. Janet, do you want to say anything about CPC?
Well, we haven't met since March the 3rd. And I think I commented then, we did discuss the Van Head Meadows and the fact that Charlie is working on the Barnes Aquifer. His proposal has not been submitted. And we did discuss, I call it Garrick Land Aquifer acquisition. And within the old town hall presentation that was made, and we approved $50,000 toward their endeavor, but it does have to go to the town meeting. And that was all on March the 3rd, so we haven't met since then.
Would you repeat that thing about approving the $50,000? Because I was there, and I think I let that slip my brain. What was the approval?
The request is for $98,000. And I think they're looking for a grant or money for some of it, and we approved the 50,000 to go to town meeting.
Okay, so I made a mistake then, because at the select board meeting, I did not recall that we had actually voted and approved the 50,000. So Francine had some notes of that, but what's that?
It wasn't, we didn't have a motion, but it was in the meeting minutes, and I've shown them to Virginia, and she said we approved 50,000, but it has to go to town meeting.
Okay.
50,000 for what?
What is it for, Janet?
The town, well, let me, oh, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm not the town hall. The Manhattan Meadows is what I was talking about.
I think it's your match for the Trails grant, no?
That's right.
Phase 2 of the
Yeah.
bridge. It's for a bridge.
We did talk about the old town hall meeting, but the $50,000 was for Manhattan Meadows.
Okay. And during that meeting, I had texted Diana and never got around to reporting her results to me. And her result was that, yeah, 50,000 would probably be fine. So yes, that I do remember, Janet. Thank you for clarifying that.
I had it wrong in my minutes, and then I didn't correct that. I think they said something like 48,000 or the balance of the 98.
Right.
And
yes, okay.
Approved 50,000, and any extra would be returned.
And that's,
okay.
That's all contingent on getting the grant. So.
Yes, if they get the grant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so back to this whole thing of the old town hall. There was no motion or no discussion of utilizing CPC or CPA money for anything for that.
No. That was my mistake. No,
they just talked about that presentation.
We just did discuss those 4 things.
Oh, okay, fine. So I did remember correctly. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you on that. Okay, let's see. We're still not seeing any of our guests. Can somebody report on what's going on with Conservation Commission besides all these grants? Anything either Diana or Charlie want to report on?
Well, they had received some expressions of concern from people who live on a street that abuts the Alice Brown Conservation Area, where they had a forester come in to do a forestry plan and mark the trees that would be removed for the health of the forest, and there were objections from the neighbors, so that was interesting to listen to, and the discussion. And the Concom said that they have a lot of faith in their forester to do a good job, and that if possible, he would, talk to the abutting landowners, and, they would.
Well, Diana, you really, after about a half hour of random discussion, introduced the concept of giving them the forest cutting plan and also having Jenkins, I think his name is, set up a meeting and talk to. That was that resolved a lot of controversy and quieted the neighbors down considerably. That was a very good suggestion.
Thank you. It did seem, that it was one reasonable thing we could do. So
yeah, very reasonable.
Yeah. So that's the latest that I've heard about that, and I don't remember anything else. I think I may have left the meeting after that.
Yeah,
anything else that was going on? We're still waiting for the Manhattan Meadows bid to go out to be posted. So we hope that happens soon.
And that's currently with the town administrator. That's where that's at.
Yeah.
Okay. I see that one of our other guests has just arrived, and that's Alison Wondriska from Friends of Southampton Open Space. And she let me know that she has another meeting, so I'm sensitive to her time. I'm just really hoping Rini shows up really soon. So I'm going to make one more announcement that I forgot to make. So you recall that we talked about a parcel way over on the Easthampton line. It's right next to Massachusetts Department of Fisheries and Wildlife, and it's on map 31, and this gentleman has periodically, on and off over the years, expressed some kind of interest in selling it to somebody and selling it. Well, the people from Easthampton, including their professional planner, as well as Mark Walmsley from Kestrel, and other people, that gentleman Garrett Stover, who's a strong conservationist, and a couple people I don't recognize their names, but it does include the woman from Fish and Wildlife, and myself are meeting this coming Tuesday to kind of figure a strategy on that property. That's map 31, parcel 2. So I just want you to know that I'll be going to that meeting on Tuesday to figure out what's going on. I don't know that that's something that Southampton will want to purchase. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping that something could be worked out where Mass Fish and Wildlife might be able to make some kind of purchase for that property. It is completely landlocked from Southampton, any of the roads in Southampton, and therefore cannot be developed as a subdivision at all. It is in Southampton, however. Okay.
Cindy, how large a parcel is that? Approximately.
30 something. Wait a second, I'll let you know. Do you know where I'm talking about, Allison? Do you have any
Is
idea?
it behind over by Big Y?
No.
No.
Easthampton. Oh, over by Cook County Road.
Oh, other side. Okay. Yep. I know where that is.
And it's 31 acres according to this assessor's map. Again, it's landlocked. Unless you were walking in there, you wouldn't know. Okay, he's developed. This man owns property, or did anyway, on Pomeroy Street in Easthampton, and sold off one lot after the other, and houses have been built on it. But it is over the aquifer. Okay. So now that Allison's here, unfortunately, Reni's not here. I'm going to start to give you an update, and then we're going to get to the Barnes Aquifer piece after that, okay, Charlie?
Okay.
So we have moved ahead. Quite a bit has been done to plan for the 2-part neighborhood outreach program. One part is inviting the entire town to attend programs of conservation interest, and a local resident who is a graphic artist has volunteered her time. And I actually showed this to Diana today, and I wanted Allison here because part of this is going to give some information about how to participate with Friends of Southampton Open Space. So I'm going to do I think I can do a share screen here. Wait a sec. Let's see. Hold on. Barnes Aquifer. How do I close? I don't want to close everything. Show all windows. I want to just show whiteboard. Chris, help me. I had opened it in I'd opened it in PDF. How do I?
Did you minimize it? Is it at the bottom? Can you see it in there when you go to share screen?
I did before, but then I opened all these Word documents. So I want to, can I exit? Say it again?
I was going to say close some of your Word documents. It'll be more visible. It's probably hiding behind them.
Okay, wait a minute. How do I close?
Close your minutes, and something's coming. That's a minute, so you can.
I know, yeah. How do I X that one?
Yep.
I'll X that one. And then I'll go to this one, and I'll X. No, I got to open it, and then X that one. Okay. Oh, here we go. Great. I knew Chris would have the answer.
Wow.
Okay, so this is 2 parts. Can you see it? Can everybody see it? Can you move our faces? If our faces are in the way, you can minimize our faces. So you can, all right. So So this top part, can you see my cursor right here?
Yep.
On the
Yes.
upper right. This is the picture that Charlie took, and it's going to be used, but this particular resolution was a little fuzzy, and so Charlie gave her the original file. Now this is the outside of the brochure. This is the other side of the brochure, and this on the left, which is about the Friends of Open Space, will be a fold in. Okay, so this will fold in. So the brochure is going to be 6 by 9, and I'm going to stop calling it a brochure. It's a mailer. It's a mail piece. And the other thing that that Adele just told me is that she's going to have to remove these 3 pictures off the bottom. Her printer told her that the post office will not want her to have these 3 pictures right here: the frog and the snow picture, etc. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now. This is as close to the final draft as we're going to get, but we're going to be able to make a few changes. Diana looked at it shortly today, and she had some editorial points to make. And Janet, when you come tomorrow, I want to show you this live one.
Oh, good.
That's in my hands, so you can take a look, because I know you have a good eye for things like that as well. So please knock on my door. We'll have to talk about when you're going to come in a minute. But the bottom part here is the inside, okay? So you see the cursor that's coming up and down right here in the middle? That's the fold, all right? Mm-hmm. Let me lower. No, that's, yeah, that's, so this advertises our 4 programs. Did somebody just come in to the meeting?
Yeah.
Rini, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Can you
hear
see?
me?
Can you? Yes, we can
Yep.
hear you. Can you see this that I'm showing on the screen?
I can. It's beautiful.
Okay, so I'm going to just quickly start over. This is the mail piece that's been designed by Adele Donahue. Mm-hmm. This top thing up here is the outside, mm-hmm. and the title is it's in our nature, Southampton and Open Space. This middle one is the actual where we put the address, and I'll raise this up again a little bit more, and I'll show you in a minute. She created a logo for our committee, and it's very cool. It really is, and it's in black and white or in color. Our choice. It's ours. And then on the left is this will fold in. Okay.
Yep.
And this side is one, and this logo was created by a couple of school children, right, Allison? That merged a couple too, and it was a contest at Norris, which is very exciting. Yep. And then if I go down here to the far right, this is the back end of that thing that folds mm-hmm. in. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk to Allison about this in just a second, but let me finish explaining this. So inside, these are the 4 programs. The speakers are all lined up. They're all on Fridays. This first one is April 23rd, and this is vacation week, by the way. April 22nd happens to be Earth Day, but we aren't really referencing it directly at all. And this is a child and parent-friendly program. It's going to be done by our own Brittany Gudermuth, who's the Climate Change Education Coordinator at Arcadia. And that's going to be at Conant Park. We're going to have to limit the number, of course. Second one down here, Saturday, May 1st. The 2 Saturdays are the guided hikes, and this is going to be a forester guided hike. That's going to be our good friend. What was his first name? Mr. Jenkins.
Tom is what you have there.
Tom, correct. Oh, it's right there in front of me. Yep, from Blue Dog Forestry, and he's done a lot of work for our town. And I met him, and he's a very nice man, and he's very excited about this. He's going to do this at Wolf Hill Sanctuary, and that's going to start at 10 in the morning. Up here, this is the second guided hike. This is going to be sponsored by Friends of Southampton Open Space. The speaker or the leader is Karen Hirschberg, who is a local professional botanist, and I believe Mia Kurhara knows her. Mm-hmm. So this one is also on a Saturday at 10 a.m. And the last one down here is on May 14th, and it's a Friday. And this is led by Scott Jackson of UMass Extension Service. He's the one who's going to talk about protecting forests and other ecosystems in the context of climate change. Now, this one and this one, the 2 that are going to be at Conant Park, will be professionally videotaped and recorded and available. And if you look right down here, where my cursor is, and I'm asking Adele to put maybe a box around this or more emphasis. This tells people where they can see these recordings on YouTube, on their own YouTube site. And of course, that is what we need to do during time of COVID, because we're hoping a lot of people want to watch this and want to see it, but we can't get more than maybe 40 or 45 people safely into the pavilion with social distancing. So if anybody wants to see this live copy, and I'm going to minimize now. Hold on. Oh dear, what did I do? Oh dear, what did I do? You can all hear me, right?
Yep.
Oh, here we go. All right. So can you see me? So can
Yep.
everybody see me now? Because I
Yep.
stopped sharing.
No, it's
Oh,
still
you're
there.
still
though.
sharing.
Oh, I'm still sharing? Oh, stop share. That works. Okay, there we go. Now I'm stopped sharing, and I'm going to expand this for me. All right. So again, this is the front.
No, show how when people get it in the mail, what,
Oh, okay. Then I guess this is the front, and that's the back.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm just thinking because Cindy said that we had to take those photos off that are at the bottom there. You can't really see them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have something like a title or something to bring people to pique their interest
Yeah.
there.
So yeah, so I'm asking Diana to help me with some wording on that for tomorrow. Just something that makes people open this up. I suppose.
How about information on upcoming programs or something like that?
Or a springtime series of hikes and programs or something.
Yeah.
All right, I'm writing these down. Anybody else have ideas?
Come see what's happening this spring.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Anything that invites people.
Yeah, you want it very welcoming.
Okay. All right. Throw out any other ideas if you think of them.
Well, I just always have been told when you do any advertising like this, you need to answer who, what, where, when, and why. So maybe,
Maybe should it say look inside to find all the answers to those questions?
what they're doing, when, where, and why should all be answered in maybe one sentence there. But those are the 5 things you need to address.
But that's on the other side. You got to get them to open the thing.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay, so that's good. Open and see. All right. We're not going to decide exactly the wording in a committee. It just never works that way.
No.
So therefore, I'll work with Diana. If anybody wants to email me more ideas, that's fine. Because we do have our drop dead final, everything's got to be finished, is actually Monday. In order to get this in the mail for April 1. And all right, so I'm going to tell you about that more in a second. So this will be the front. We have to take these off. And our logo's up here, up here. But we're also going to have 210 College Highway, Southampton, Mass. Talked to Lucy today. If any of these are returned, they'll just hold them aside so we'll know if for some reason they're going to be returned. She got the list of the all town residents from the state. It's called an extract, and she converted it to an Excel file today. She had to do it. So that's all been taken care of. We're going to use the printer's indicia, the printer's permit. Our town does not have a mass mailing kind of indicia, interestingly. Never had it, apparently. So this is the back, and this will be attached with what they call a wafer, a clear plastic wafer. And down here, I don't know if you noticed it, that is, thank you to Janet, she forwarded it. That's our town logo. Yeah, okay. So that's that. And then open like this. And then this is the 3 parts, the 4 programs. Probably doing this backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it's going to be perforated. So it can be torn off. And I really think it's very cool because it has little stars on it and it's in dark blue, and the background of the owl It's to be a nighttime thing. Now, a question for you right off the bat, Allison. Can we credit the winners of this program? You cannot use their names. Okay, so that's out. I wasn't sure, and that's too complicated to get it, right? Can we say something like, this was created by...
It's on the website. So I think if people go to the website, they can get that information.
Well, Adele thought that was nice to advertise that fact. I mean, anything that's on the website could be used on this, couldn't it? It's public.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You just don't have a lot of it. You don't want to get it too busy. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the logo was created from a contest that was then voted on by the Southampton community. It was created by school children at Norris who submitted designs that were then finalists were selected by FOSOS board, and then the 6 finalists were put on the Facebook page, and there was a contest, and there was a tie, basically.
Yeah.
So Mia created the logo from the 2 winning designs, but that's way too much to put on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could say designs created by Norris school children. We could say
Yeah,
that
you
one.
can do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it's very nice that the community was brought in and that children had something to do with it.
Yep.
The other thing, before you go away, Allison, is this. So what I did was I took what you had given me, which is essentially the mission.
Yep.
But what we thought were 2 things on this. One was, you said, I'm reading upside down. The Friends of Southampton Open Space needs you and your family. We thought take off and your family. And instead put something rather bold here, where my finger is, or possibly here, that says, please join.
How about Friends of Southampton Open Space needs you, please join. You just,
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, okay, because we thought that, sort of bring out the idea of, that's the whole point. You're joining, okay, good. All right, that's lovely.
We could also, I don't know if you want to put it on there, but, you get a sticker when you join. Or you will. I know you haven't gotten yours, Cindy, but
if you wait 6 months, you get.
Yeah, I have them in the house. We just
don't worry about
how to distribute them.
Well, do you want it on there, or do you think that whatever, get a sticker? All right.
I mean, if you're looking for something else, otherwise, I think if you have enough text on there.
Yeah, we're not looking for something else other than to bring out the idea to please join. That was it.
Yep.
You're right that more space means more likely to be read.
Right.
Okay. Any other comments? Chris?
Yes. Who is printing that up?
Okay, I'm going to tell you that in just a minute. I'm going to tell you because this is not something that went out to bid or anything like that. Okay. Go ahead, Chris.
Just a question. You said that last part with the FOSOS is going to be a perforated part. So is that going to be mailed back? Is that the idea to them?
No, it's meant to be something somebody hopefully can hold on to. Will have longer shelf life. It's small. It's pretty. It's not going to be mailed back. No, it's not designed for that.
So if you say
put
please
it on your
join,
fridge.
Yeah, but if there's a please join, they've got information as to how to join.
Yep, it's right there in there. It essentially directs them to the website.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So
All right.
why is it perforated?
Just so it can rip off easily. In fact, this one ripped off.
Oh,
It just will encourage people to save it.
okay.
Could I
Does
see?
it cost more to perforate it?
Well, I'm going to talk about the price in a minute. We got a phenomenal price, and it's because of the relationship that this person has with a pen printer. It's a different printer. It's Marcus Printer in Holyoke. I think Rini said you've worked with them before, and not only are they printing it, they're mailing it. There's no envelope. There's nothing, and I'm just amazed that we're going to send out 2,700, and it's not only going to be printed. She's donating her total graphic artist expertise and time, and this is her profession. Sorry, what?
That's me.
Oh, all right. She's donating all of that. This is multiple color, and it's going to come out to $1. This includes the mailing, $1.05 per piece. So we're within our budget, and this isn't a situation where we don't have to go to CPC with 3 bids or anything like that. So this stays, it's covered by the grant, and she works with them all the time. What can I say? It's the kind of circumstance where she says, you work with the good people and you get this, I don't know. I'm going to have to agree to that. So go ahead, Rini.
Could I see the return address, the open space logo?
Yeah. Well, if you wait 1 second, I can share screen on that whole logo.
Yeah.
Wait a second now.
What is the picture inside the O?
It's kind of a generic country scene.
Okay.
Hold on a second. And, my first thought was, there it is. Okay, this is the color one. Can you see?
Yeah.
Everybody? This is the color one. It's round.
Oh, so it's actually a graphic.
It's a graphic, correct.
Oh, okay. Maybe we should vote to adopt that if that's the case. If we're not, then, it's just for this particular publication, but I just feel like maybe that would be something we should do, no?
Yeah, it can be in black and white. I agree. I totally agree with that. Just, okay. I'm just going to show it to you. It can be used as a logo.
I like it.
This is business card size. This is like, a little bit larger and larger still. This becomes ours. She's giving it to us if we like it.
Especially with the barn, that's kind of like a signature in some ways. That's
exactly.
Great. Yeah, I like
and
it.
Then she said, well, let me go back to the color one here. I think of the Holyoke Range, that we can see from our town. This is not the Holyoke Range, but it is kind of a distant hillside kind of thing. I think it's very professional looking myself. This is just plain.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
It's a nice logo.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do exactly what Rini just suggested. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept these logos, plural, black and white? And also it includes words, open space, Southampton Open Space Committee. Anybody want to move to accept that?
Motion that we accept the logos that you just showed us.
Do I hear a second?
As our official logo of the committee.
Okay. Diana, are you still on the phone?
No, I'm off now. Sorry, it's my dad.
Oh, is everything okay? Yeah?
Well, it's never okay. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so I've heard a motion. Is there a second to accept the logo?
I'll second it.
All right, Charlie seconded it. So is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Yep.
Palmer? Is everybody?
McDonald, aye.
Brown.
Fetterman, yes?
I'll abstain.
You'll abstain, okay. All right, so it's accepted with 1 abstention. All right, so, Allison, time-wise, I'm looking at the time here. You want to hang around for a few more minutes? You can. You're muted.
Yeah, I'll just be in here for about 5 minutes, then I got to go. So I'll just go off into the sunset quietly.
Okay. All right. So otherwise, on this program, I've already pointed out that the speakers are all lined up. Some of them are not accepting any honorariums. And then I'm going to talk only about this program first. I've already booked the Women's Club sign, which is the one at what's formerly called the Trading Post, continuously from April 11th to May 15th. Now, I did notice in the select board meeting the other night that the all-town meeting, the yearly town meeting the dates are up in the air still. Is that correct? So I wasn't sure if the town meeting would need advertisement in the middle of that, but it doesn't sound that to be the case. What do I need at this point? In order to do the Easthampton Media Tech part of this, and the fact that it's on a Friday, they would like to have an extra tech person help them. And I know Robert Floyd he's certainly highly qualified, of course, as a photographer person, but he's also been trained on their equipment. Is anybody volunteer to be in touch with Robert to ask him to, if he wanted to participate with the filming of these two that are going to occur on a Friday, plus the other two speakers that they're not even in this program, which I'll speak about in a minute. Does anybody want to, will you do that, Reenie?
No,
Okay,
I wanted to mention something that at the end of the meeting, you didn't stay to the end, obviously. Who would? Except the select board.
Sorry.
But he did go in public session to say that he was sort of rotated off the board. So they had a board of, So I'm not really sure that he's no longer on the board of Easthampton Media. They created a couple of bylaws that sort of made some longer standing people rotate off the board. That was a little bit why I was a little frustrated with Easthampton Media during the meeting. But I'm just wondering, Chris, if you know of anybody in the technology, I mean, I'm happy to reach out to Robert and ask, but I'm also wondering if there might be some IT committee people that might be interested.
I can certainly put the word out to them. I can send them an email. I don't know, they've all got very specific techie backgrounds, IT backgrounds, but I can certainly put out a question to them. Yeah.
All right, I'll go ahead and email Robert if you want to just, and so the dates of those are the ones that are at Conant?
Well, wait a sec. Don't email yet, because there's two others that I haven't told you about.
Okay.
Okay. All right. But let me just make the point that Jen, whatever her last name is, Ramsey, said Robert would be the right one. She didn't mention anything about being on the board. It's just that he is a Southampton resident who has trained in using their equipment. So that point about him no longer being on the board isn't really a major issue, I don't think.
Okay.
Unless it is for him, I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see here. The other thing is we have to get the LED projector and a screen to use at Conant Park. Church, you've got one? Or are you leaving, Allison? You're leaving, okay. Thank you for coming.
The church has one. I've used it before.
Will you be able to arrange to borrow that for Conant Park, and same 4 dates, and I'll give them to you in a minute. Can we use those for the Conant Park presentations?
Diana might know better than I used it for a presentation at church, so I know they have the projector.
I know we used it when we did the other neighborhood outreach program. Do you think they're going to have a problem having them leave the church, Diana?
No, I don't think that anyone would object to that. I'm not a tech person, but I don't think so. I think the person who helped us with the other neighborhood outreach program really isn't involved too much at church anymore. So we might need somebody who knows what they're doing.
You know who was good at it? Megan Gentile.
Right, yeah.
She's still in town, I think, isn't she?
She works in town. She's also on the tech committee.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
She's become, I'm not sure if she's called an honorary member, but she's part of the tech committee too.
All right.
As well as last night, the committee voted to admit Kim Florek.
Who's that?
She's the IT person for Norris.
Oh, okay.
Good. Oh, good.
Well, it sounds like between those few, if we can borrow the stuff from the church, and between Megan, who I recall being quite expert for the other programs.
Megan, I'm sure, would love to do something, like that again. She misses being on master plan.
Right.
So she would probably not mind doing that whatsoever.
Yeah, okay.
I could reach out to her to do that part, to just be sure that we're all hooked up, that's all.
Okay.
But that would be just for the projector part, not anything else, right? Yeah.
That is correct. Well, I mean, she'd have to be there.
Yeah, right. But all the microphone stuff, that's Jen Ramsey crew, right?
Correct. And it's all on Fridays. So maybe if she's in town and if her boss, Bruce Coombs, is willing to allow her to come over for that. It's just, she works right around the corner.
Well, she runs the library, actually, the Heritage Library. Yeah, so.
That's correct. So,
yeah, I'll check with her on that.
and I will get dates. Yeah.
Yeah, I can email the church office and ask
Yeah.
for what dates do we need it? And
I'm going to have to send it out as an email, so you'll all have the same email from me with the dates. Okay?
And do you need a screen, you said too?
Yes, we'll need a screen. And I think, gosh knows if I'm wrong, I didn't check exactly, but is there a screen there? Does it hang above the fireplace? Or is it just my,
Yeah, I wouldn't think so, but I'm not positive.
okay.
Don't
So we
know.
need a screen. And if we
Yeah,
can't
the
get it, then
screen, I don't know that the screen is portable. It's like it pulls down from the ceiling
Yeah.
of the stage there, I
Yeah.
think.
We might have to improvise something.
Corner Park?
Kona Park, yeah.
No, I'm talking about the screen at the church.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
I think it's affixed to
Yeah.
the ceiling.
I think
Okay.
so too. Yeah, I think we'll probably have to improvise something for a screen, whether it's a big sheet or something.
Well, maybe the school has something?
I don't know.
All right, so if you don't just mind checking with what it's at the church,
Yeah.
and I think the library might have it. If not, I may go back to my contacts in Springfield or something and see if I can find something, just
Yeah.
let me know.
So many of these screens, I mean, they're not, when people used to have their slide projectors, you could move your screen around, but
Yeah.
these days, a lot of these screens
Yeah.
are pull downs, built into the ceiling or the wall.
Right.
Did we ask Easthampton Media? Might they?
I did. I already asked them. They didn't have any of that equipment.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let me
Okay.
know. We might be able to get one at work where I am.
oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
so let me know if you don't have one handy.
thank you. Great.
I wondered too, Robert might have one, possibly.
Oh, okay.
So as you're talking to Robert,
Could you ask
maybe,
Robert?
maybe Robert would have one with all his photography equipment and stuff. He might have a screen. I don't know.
Okay. So if he's going to do the filming, and Rini, if you don't mind asking him that, if he has a screen. Okay. Okay, very good. All right. So does anybody have any other comments or questions about that aspect of the neighborhood outreach program? This is for the all-town people to be invited, multiple presentations. Okay.
Who's putting the mailing sticker, the labels on the other side?
The printer's doing it all.
Oh, who's printing it on, not putting a sticker? Okay. I just thought I would.
Oh, I see what you mean. The address labels.
Yeah.
So that's been converted to an Excel sheet, and it's going to go directly to the printer, through the internet, I guess, and he will do all the printing from there.
Okay. I
Did
did.
you say how much it was for that?
The total amount, it comes to $2,843 for that. Includes the printing, the mailing, the actual work of putting it together. And then I think they are going to drive it to the Springfield Bulk Mailing Center so that it can go out on a bulk mail situation. I volunteered to do that as well. But going from our post office is, it ends up leaving our post office anyway, as you know, and going back. So it's got to go back down to Springfield to be mailed from Springfield. And the printer's in South Hadley, I think, or Holyoke, South Hadley or Holyoke.
That's great.
Any other comments or questions? And if anyone wants to see this, I know, Janet, you come tomorrow. Do you know what time you're going to come by?
I can't call you when I leave the house. Terminix is supposed to come at 8:30, and I don't know when they're coming. Can I call you before I leave my house?
Sure, absolutely. Call my cell phone, please,
Thank
or
you.
text it. Okay. So the other part of the program are for the select group of town residents who have large parcels in our target areas. And I've gotten, and I think, Janet, you got lists of lands from Diana, from Chris Fowles, and I know that I need to give you some more because.
Well, I entered their information, but yes, you're right. I have it.
Okay. So basically, if you look at our assessors maps, to make it simple, it's maps 1 through 20. It's the whole sort of top northern end area of our town, plus 23, which kind of comes down right in the middle above. It's where the York Whiteley property is. We're not going to do April did give me some other names of people in other areas. They can still get the invitation. They can still get the mailing. That's fine. It's just we have to focus on the target areas that we said we were going to focus on. I've started to draft a letter to these people. It's a personal invitation. And as much as possible, we're going to have to make follow-up phone calls. Who's been lined up for these? There's 3 speakers that we've lined up. An expert appraiser named Ellen Anderson, an expert on getting conservation restrictions and agricultural preservation restrictions. You've all heard his name, Pete Westover. He's from Conservation Works. And the third one is also from Conservation Works, and that's the attorney, Elizabeth Roblica. And I've spoken to all 3 of them. They're very excited about this. Elizabeth's position on this is that she really loves having conversations with landowners, and she knows that landowners, she's good at this. She knows how to sort of encourage questions and encourage conversation and give and take, etc. She does not want to be she doesn't want to be videotaped. She says that would hinder the likelihood of people raising questions and concerns. And I would have to agree with her that they wouldn't like to think they were on a videotaping of that. So she's not going to be videotaped. The 2 people that are Ellen Anderson and Pete Westover. I'm still working out some of the details of that. The idea I had was that would all be done in advance, and then we would advertise the YouTube videos in the letter. But I just got an email at like 4:30 this afternoon, and Pete and Elizabeth don't think that's a great idea. They think that not many people would watch it. They could be right. I still think we should videotape at least the 2 presentations, the one on getting CRs and APRs and the one by the expert appraiser. And we'll still make it available, but he's going to do a live PowerPoint presentation, Pete is, about CRs and APRs. And then it'll be interactive. People can ask questions. People can choose to raise topic or experiences. We're going to invite 3 people that have already gone through this process. I've already spoken to Christina Madsen. I've already spoken to, no, I haven't. I haven't yet spoken to Paula Hendrick. And also, I would like to invite the Riggs. They went through this quite recently, as you know, over off Pleasant Street. So those I'm in the process of lining up. But so these are people that will be able to share their true experiences. But others, we hope, will ask questions. Now, some people don't want to do CRs and APRs. They might want to find out, are we ever going to be able to buy their land from them? We don't know. We don't know. That's future. That's potential for other kinds of grants. We need partners for those grants. Maybe we need Hoyok Waterworks to partner with us. Maybe we need Town of Westhampton or Easthampton to partner with us, depending on where it's located. Maybe we need something else, some other kind of big funding, maybe that Kestrel can help us find. So we can't guarantee on any of that. We can't, certainly the town can't buy millions of dollars worth of land. We simply don't have that kind of money. So we can at least get this conversation going. That's what it's all about. We learned that at the other neighborhood outreach grant, that it's about a long-term conversation. It's kind of a process that will take place. So that's the way it's going to go. And I've held Conant Park for those 2 dates as well. And those are both Fridays. And they are April 30th and May 7th. Is that right? I get that right? Yes, April 30th and May 7th. And they're Fridays. Not everybody's going to be able to come on a Friday, but...
what time?
1 in the afternoon. None of these are luncheons. During a period of time of COVID, I didn't feel that we should comfortably have to supply luncheon to people, and plus that they might not eat it. We're stuck with a plate of stuff that isn't eaten. We talked before, I'll have some water and I'll have some cookies or, some kind of snacks if people want them. So they're all at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Can I just suggest a speaker? I know we've worked with him before. Is Richard Evans. He's an attorney in Northampton. He's very knowledgeable about conservation restrictions. And I think he's spoken to our group before.
Well, we've already gotten this far, Janet. We've lined them up. We might be able to do him again. And I think the point was we were doing different speakers this time.
Great.
So you're right, he did come to the last one.
He is very knowledgeable.
He is our attorney for the purchase of Clearwater Woodland.
Yep, yep.
Cindy, what is Elizabeth's topic that she doesn't want to be photocopied, videoed on?
The legal and tax implications of doing land conservation. That's what she's going to do.
And she thinks that people are going to ask too many private questions? Is that what she's thinking?
She thinks that they might want to talk about personal circumstances, and she also, by her own admission, is a little camera shy. So there's two parts.
Could we at least audio record it so that we have a record of what she says without videoing her? But at least, I mean, that's an important topic that, people usually have questions about their taxing, their inheritance tax, their, whatever.
I think, quite frankly, Chris, I think she was, I'm going to use the word emphatic. She was emphatic in a subtle way about this, that she didn't want that done. We do know, because Charlie found out, there's all these resources. There's booklets. There's also the topics have been videotaped by Mass Lands and the other kinds of presentations that
Mass Woods had a tax session last night, and it's on their website too, part of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We can direct them. I don't feel at all confident that I could change her mind. And we talked for quite a long time. So are you concerned that we need to audio tape it for protection of some kind, of our own protection, that she said something? Or
No, not for protection, more just for common knowledge. But if there are other sources where we could direct people, that's fine. I mean, I've met her, I've worked with her a little bit, and definitely that's how she is one-on-one with a family. But I guess if you had a group of people, I guess I wouldn't expect people to get into that level of detail. They could always be directed to talk to her privately some other time, maybe. But that's fine. Whatever she wants, that's fine. I was just asking.
That was my take on it. And I'm going to honor. I mean, like I said, it was a rather long conversation. It was like an hour actually that we talked. And she at first said maybe, and then she came back and she said no. That's what I think. So,
is it a personal attitude of hers, or is it the personal nature of what she's talking to people about?
I think it's a combination, Janet.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination. She was.
People might be very private about their property and their plans and their trusts and all that kind of stuff.
We're not necessarily going to get to that highly personal thing that'll say, I have, 200,000 in trust or something. I don't know that it's going to be that level of personal, but more people might not want to speak out and speak about their personal land, knowing that they're going to be recorded.
I can understand that. Okay.
You can? Okay. Okay. Now, it's true, Chris, that she might get clients out of this, or she might do follow-up work on, a specific family that might have more to talk about afterwards.
Which is okay.
Okay. So that's coming together. And so that the mailing of that will just be a letter and an envelope, and and we have a budget for that. So I think we're going to be covered on that. And that is the crux of what this whole grant was about: neighborhood outreach, drawing people together. We will need to make, as I said, follow-up phone calls. So if we send a letter, I'm going to probably ask some of you to make a follow-up phone call to say, if we have a number, if we have a phone number, can you, and I know Chris worked hard to get phone numbers for hers and couldn't get 100% of them, we may not get them. But if you can, try to find out who people are, but I'll supply that more at a later date on that. I want you to know too that I'm going to get signed releases from everybody that's going to be videotaped. So we have that documented, so that people will, say that they've agreed to that.
I wonder if Easthampton Media might have a standard form that they use to a release form.
That's where I got it.
Oh, good. Good. Okay.
Thank you. They did have a standard form. They call it talent release. So,
Cindy, you said the letters are going out to landowners that own how much land?
I think we're starting with 10 and above. And
Okay.
don't forget the other criteria, you know, is it next to other conserved lands? Is it desirable for conservation? And is it under imminent development possibility? You know, Chris pointed out one of her properties to me, and, you know, it's got other residential land next to it. Maybe it's a good one to send to, but I don't know if that particular property that she pointed out to me would be one that they'd say, we want to conserve the back 5 acres. We've got 10, and, you know, I don't know. So we can only try. It's
Do you have a number of how many letters will go out, probably?
right now. I don't have an actual number. Thinking like maybe 100.
Okay.
So I'm not going to cut this conversation off if you have more questions or concerns, but otherwise we'll move on to the Barnes Aquifer brochure. Okay. So let me do that now. Let me try to... Charlie, whoops.
You're going to bring up the map and
Whoops,
verbiage?
Wait a minute. Here's the map. We've all seen this. This is the final that you sent me the other day, Charlie.
Yep. A Pioneer Valley Planning Commission must have spent maybe 2 days developing this map. And again, the object of this brochure is to show the residents where the Barnes Aquifer is relative to major sites in the town, like the school and the town hall, etc. And some of our properties that are conservation. So that's what the map looks like, and the brochure in principle would have that in the middle of it. It would be a 9 by 8.5, and it will have 2 creases in it, and that map would be in the center. And this verbiage and written component that in part Patty Gambarini wrote, and it also is abstracted from the information that presently is in the health department brochures, would be on the back side of this brochure. So that's the content. I think you've all seen it, and I've addressed many of the issues that were brought to my attention. And so that's the content. So I think we need a motion to accept it as it stands. I think you've all seen it.
So Charlie, I know you and Diana worked on, after the last meeting, I remember one thing was this word stand, because not everybody stands in our town. Some people can't stand.
Yeah, but I think we talked about that, and we kind of came to a agreement about it.
Okay. All right. So this is the final. This is
not absolute final, but we could put, for example, the symbol of the Open Space Committee.
We could add that new logo.
That logo could be added. And I have passed it on to the water commissioners, and I was hoping they would respond and have their name associated with it too, above Open Space Committee, Water Commissioners, Town of Southampton, that kind of thing.
I like it.
Those are
you haven't heard back from them?
No, but those are modest changes, and the fundamental structure of it is displayed in these 2 documents that I sent you.
Charlie, I still have an issue with that colon in the
I took that out, right? That colon is taken out.
Where, Diana?
Well,
In
you
the
have
title?
to scroll back down. I can't. Yeah, in the title. If we're going to have a colon.
Yeah, that colon should be, I don't know where, I thought, didn't you volunteer to put that in, but I took it out, at least on my document.
I thought it should be after your drinking water supply, colon, protecting it for the future. It definitely should not be after future. If it's going to cause
Yeah.
problems, just take it out completely.
Okay, so you would like it after water supply?
Yes,
Colon.
after the word supply.
Okay, no problem.
Should it be capitalized?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah, it should be in that case.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so I'll email you the logo that we just approved.
Okay. All right. And so basically, do we need a motion to accept it as it is with the colon after supply?
And the logo, and then if the,
potentially the water commissioners
yeah,
adding their
why don't you
report to it.
call up, why don't you call Tom Gahn? Just call him
Yeah,
on the phone
Yeah, I can do that.
and ask him. Does anybody want to take time to read this, or have you already? I know you've seen several emails with the copy. I have a question about these little tiny circles. I don't know why they're there. You know where I'm looking here? Are those going to be removed, or does that have to do with a conversion into a Word document?
What little circles?
All right,
What's
so the copy I'm looking at, the first sentence at the end, the last word is water, period.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then you see that little circle, and then there's one here after the word "are," and then one just prior to the word water here.
Yeah.
I think it comes when you convert from one kind of a document to another.
That's what I expect, because I don't have them on my
Okay,
on my document.
okay.
So needless to say, they won't be in the final document.
All right, okay, that's just the only thing I know. I am going fast. Does anybody want to read it word for word, or have you all seen it enough?
Just one comment. In between the different sentences, it varies for 1 space, 2 spaces, or 3 spaces at the beginning of a sentence, so it all should be consistent, whatever it is. Look
You
at
know,
your.
I always use, I can take this thing off because that's me.
Right.
I'll take it
Yeah,
off.
but okay, look at the avoid putting hazardous substances one. So in here, there's 3, well, put that back on, Cindy, because then you can see it.
That's why I use it, yeah.
So right here, there's 3 spaces after street. After solvents, there's 2 spaces, and it varies all the way through. So just whoever's going to put it in final,
Yeah.
just get all your things consistent. That's
So, Charlie, is that going to be done by, let's just assume.
It has
we
to
might
be designed.
choosing-
We're going to have a design, but exactly what are we talking about? Mine doesn't seem, what spaces are we talking about? That seem to be irregular.
After the end of a sentence, in some cases, there are 3 spaces. They're displayed. You can see them. In some cases, there are just 2 spaces. It's actually just that one paragraph, I think.
Are you looking at the screen share or looking at your own copies?
I'm looking at my own copy where, so the guidelines is where spaces are screwed up somehow. There's, okay. There's,
Well, it's probably something.
I think there's
I
2
know what you
spaces.
mean. These are like 3 dots, 2 dots. I see where you're looking.
oh.
It's not
Okay,
after the paragraph, it's after this sentence.
Sentence, okay, that's, yeah, this is going to be designed and edited by whoever we choose to develop the brochure itself, but
And I have the price comparisons in a moment here.
yeah.
There should be a period after the first one here. There's a period after every other one.
Oh, yeah, you should, yeah, I'll put it in.
Okay.
That's good.
Charlie, this is going to shorten your life, this whole thing.
Yeah, this is just one part of the project, and we finally got something. Let's have the vote that we agree that this is the content and as well as the map design
All right.
that we want.
Okay.
Again, we have, yeah.
Go ahead. I think you're right. I think we've seen it enough, except for these important small things. Does anybody want to make a motion to accept the content and the map as been created?
I just want to ask one, where are you planning on putting the Open Space Committee logo?
It could be next to this, center
Maybe in
them.
here?
Yeah, on the top of the first page, there's several lines that are blank. Would it fit there? On this page 2?
What do you mean? You want on page 2, Janet, or page 1?
On page 2, there's a bunch of blank, those little paragraph logos. So farther down, maybe right there, right there.
Okay, again, I think the point is that a designer is going to be working on this anyway.
I just wondered where are you planning on putting it since it just now was brought up?
I don't know.
I would think I think that's on the first page, just so everybody knows when they read it, who is supporting this project and so on.
Part of it or something? Center them both?
Maybe center them? I don't know.
Yeah, put them side by side.
Does the water department have their own logo by chance? Does anybody know that? Or is it all
I don't know that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So do I hear a motion to accept the content and, not necessarily the specific design or issues at this point? I move to accept it.
I second.
I'll second it.
I heard a second from Diana. Any further discussion?
Question on the very part at the top where it says Town of Southampton. Should it say Massachusetts? The very top, right there, Town of Southampton. Should it say Massachusetts?
It says Mass on the logo. It's going to Massachusetts people. I don't know.
I don't think so because it is going in town.
There is a Southampton, New York, so I just thought I'd bring it up.
It's only going to be mailed in town.
Okay.
I think right here it identifies Massachusetts with the logo here.
It does. That's fine.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor of accepting the content? Say your last names if you accept it.
Roden, aye.
Palmer,
Edmund,
aye.
aye.
Do I hear from
Can
Brown?
I vote? I'd vote for it.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, McDonald, yes. And then,
Yeah.
Janet, did you want to say, or did I hear? All right, anybody opposed? Okay, anybody abstain? Okay, it's accepted.
Okay.
Yay.
All right, so then the next thing, Charlie, is the price
Costs.
comparison.
Printing. Yeah, the project is, the second phase of this project is to figure out how we want to print it. And I've been talking with some of the local printers, and I've had various suggestions. If you see on this table, you see the heavy figures that have been broadened.
The bolded ones, yeah.
Emboldened, yes. And they're the ones that would have a format on paper that would be probably very similar to the one that Cindy showed us earlier. It's a little stiffer. So it's something that would be, again, 10 by 8.5, and it would be in 3 sections, and it would be made out of the kind of paper that Cindy was showing for her invitation to these presentations that will come in June. The other option, and they are those prices that are not in bold font. And I don't know if you can see what I'm holding up, but it would be something very similar to the maps that the Conservation Commission have for the various conservation sites, the trail maps. And I don't know if people might be, can you see that?
Hold it in front of your face. Hold it in front of your face.
Here we go.
Yeah,
You've seen these. You see a ton of these at the town hall, but we could print them like so. They're not as stiff, and the prices would be less expensive. And so we have to, and the conservation lands also of the same format in terms of heft of paper. So is there a strong consensus among the committee that we should give the heavier or the lighter weight paper? That's one thing that has to be addressed. In addition to the design, these that we have for the conservation maps, we could have a very similar design for the Barnes Aquifer and perhaps have it in blue instead of green. I don't know if anything's being shown here. But anyway, those are options that we could deal with, and the prices that we have, they're not really a consistent set, but there's two different sort of structures there shown in that table.
Mhm. What was
skip?
is there a general difference between the two paperweights? Like is one?
Well, the reasons people told me to do the heavier one is that people would get it and they wouldn't automatically throw it away. You know, they'd have a tendency to return it. That's what the printers say. So, but the price difference is considerable. And the two that I'm sort of focusing in on now, ProMark, I think the Conservation Commission has used them before, and it would be about 270 for about 2,500 copies. The artwork would be 116, that's about 2 hours, and the envelopes would be 170. And there's nothing associated with getting them printed up on those envelopes. If you want things printed up on the envelopes, that would probably add $500 to the cost of those envelopes. At least that's the general terms that I've heard. So those are the kinds of decisions that we have to make. Bold would be the heavier type paper stock, similar to Cindy's that she's shown, but she got a remarkably good price for hers. And the unbolded prices associated with something that would be akin to these maps that are in the town hall for our conservation lands. So we can tighten this all up, getting identical prices from these various printers, but at this stage it's a little mixed up because people have been telling me one thing versus another. So does anybody here in the committee have any strong opinions about this?
Well, I guess I don't understand because you said Cindy got a great price, but her price is like, you know, many times more than any of these. So,
but Diana, my price includes all the mailing.
Yeah, and getting
It includes the postage.
okay.
Yeah, and I think that would add at least $1,000 to these final prices to the right.
And the brochure that I showed earlier is multiple colors. These are essentially two colors, right? With shading, is that right, Charlie?
I think that has not been. They've given me examples with multiple colors, so they didn't seem to say that is going to be a problem.
So the examples that you showed from, you know, the brochures that were created of our conservation properties, those are just two colors. They're white and they're green. I mean, they're black, white, and green. White paper, black printing, and then green, but different shades of the same green.
Yes, right? Different shades of the same green.
So I think they're very nice. I think they have long shelf life, and I think they last. And if you think having it be like in white paper, black print with blue and multiple shades, I think it's perfectly fine.
Yes. Okay. I sort of agree with that because it certainly would be less expensive, and it I think would be sort of like consistent with some of the other town literature that we have for conservation.
Right. Now, what I don't see, I've got it on the screen now, is that Valley Design, the package store, they didn't give you two quotes. There's just one quote for cost of printing, and it's not bolded, so it's not a heavier stock. Is that what that is?
That would be lighter stock.
Okay. So
the non-bolded ones would be similar to the Conservation Commission's brochures for our conservation areas.
Yeah.
The 270 and the 280.
Yeah, I'm going to just say that I think the lighter stock is perfectly satisfactory for what we want. That's my feeling. I don't think we need a heavier stock for this.
Okay.
What does everybody else think?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Lighter stock, unequivocal. Okay, is it possible, and this is another thing, as far as making this inexpensive, is it possible that these brochures be put into our tax bills or our water bills? Is that possible?
I asked that question. The water bills for this quarter went out this week. Okay.
Yeah.
So it would have to be future. And the answer was probably. We would have to check with Jen Day, and size might be an issue. Because will this go into a standard business size envelope? Is that what your intention is?
I think so, yes. This is this would easily be put into a number 10 envelope. That's typically for the tax bills we get is about that size.
Okay. The other thing to consider is that when we talked at a previous meeting, we thought it would be important that all town residents got this. And there are town residents that don't get a water bill because they're on a well or they're renters.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
How do they get a tax bill? Is it possible to get it into the...
you said water bill.
One or the other.
They get a tax bill, we'd have to decide which, and that would be a different question, which I haven't asked yet.
Yeah.
And, again, that would go to our tax collector, Jen Day. So I think I know I asked when I was working with the Master Plan Implementation Committee a couple of years ago about inserting something into a tax bill. And the problem was who's going to do it? It's like a labor issue because there's a lot of work that goes into that. So maybe we all have to run down and volunteer to help stuff envelopes. Yeah. And then, of course, taxes are private things. So
yeah, that won't work. We asked that question for Master Plan last time for the survey, and we ended up making just a little slip of paper to include, and they did it themselves when they were stuffing envelopes.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't think they would want us down there stuffing envelopes. Maybe, I doubt it, but it seems to me that this would make more sense to put in a water bill, though, rather than a tax bill, given the subject matter.
Yeah, but not if a lot of people don't get it. It's the people with the well.
Then you've got to figure out how many don't get it. That's the question. Is there another list from the water commissioners? Do we know how many are on town water versus not?
Well, again, Lucy gets what's called these extracts from the state, and she can order them in different ways. I don't know if she can order ones that are for people that have town water or not. That's a question for Lucy. She told me there's all different ways to request them.
When we did the water grant for Pomeroy Meadows, there were definitely numbered lists of who was on town water. They have the water department has that information.
That's town water then. That's who gets the water bills. So then there'd have to be like a sort of an assessment of the lists and see who's not on there, right? Because they have a well or for some other reason. Yeah. So the answer to your question, Charlie, is we don't know. We don't know how that would work exactly right now. We could talk to Jen, we could talk to Lucy, and we could talk to Tom Gahn on how that would work.
Okay.
Actually, not Tom. I don't think Tom would have that specific information.
Yeah. Well, basically, we've made the decision to put it on lighter stock, and we've made the decision to accept the content, at least as it stands right now, and it's reasonably certified that it is what we want to send out. And I can go back and talk to these people. Right now, I'm tending towards ProMark graphics. I think the Conservation Commission uses them in the past, and I can get all that straightened away, especially the definition of if I can use an Excel, the envelope and an Excel spreadsheet that you apparently have to get those addresses on those envelopes. I can get that information for our next meeting.
Okay. Well, do you need to go to CPC before that? Or, I mean, if you don't go CPC will be meeting in a couple more weeks, early
Yeah.
April. And do you need to
I'll
request?
tighten this up. I think I have to tighten this up and tell them what we're intending to do, what its content is, and what it's within reason what it's going to look like, and then present it to them. I'll do that on is it the first Wednesday of April? Is that right?
April 7th, yep.
April 7th, okay. We'll try and get it on in front of them with a hard set of data that is comparative, and just so they know this is where we stand, this is what the content is, and this is what we'd like to do. And we can just move on, and we probably have some information about the mailing costs. Envelopes.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you got envelopes here. That's good. You got artwork here, and you got cost of printing. So you're suggesting ProMark. Is there a reason why that you're suggesting ProMark?
They just the behavior and their skills. I just more comfortable. You know,
Okay.
like Paradise is a little too fancy for me. They're the ones who tried to sell me this, and he was a kid too, and he's trying to sell me the hard stock business and only have a bifold instead of a trifold, as we're talking about now. So anyway, I'm sort of, that's part of my prejudice.
Okay.
in dealing with these people.
Well,
And
in
the
terms
one
of-
is Latka, that's a super expensive place. That's the
Yeah.
one right off of Route 10 in Westfield.
So I did the totals on the right column here, and I did it against the highest number. So you're probably,
Yeah.
the ProMark would come in the lowest.
Yes, it's about 556
Yeah. So,
on that relative basis.
okay. So good. All right. So I think, do we need a vote on this, that he can go to ProMark? He's found them good to work with, and quality is good. And in fact, if you total 270 plus 116 plus 170, would be less than this lower number here. You said it would be 500 something.
56.
I just want to say I've been to ProMark lately to get the donor plaques made for the benches for Manhan Meadows. So he's familiar with us, and
Yeah,
he'll probably say, "Oh, Southampton again." Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
So do I hear a motion?
But again, I think I have to get a range of data, especially for the community preservation. They would want at least 3 very comparable bids.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's no question. We can't make that decision tonight. We'll have to make it at the next meeting, but I will present it. We're not going to have a meeting before I go to the CPC, I don't
Right.
believe.
Right.
And so I'll keep you informed via email.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. So we know that we have a major speech going on television at 8 o'clock tonight that some people want to watch. And I just want to do a couple more things. Let's see. We had most of the committee meetings. Select board, I don't know that did I get anything from Chris? I can't remember. Did you say anything about select board? Rini, do you want to report anything on select board regarding open space issues?
Not that I can think of. Chris, is there anything that comes to mind?
I don't think so. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Cindy gave her presentation. That was the main the main event.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah.
You know, Cindy, I did want to ask, what did they say about a request for funds? Just they would consider it?
Oh, I was told. I was told by Ed that he would send me a form that would then go to the finance committee, and I've got it on my list. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm sure he'll get to it.
Yeah, he's actually off tomorrow, so you might want to jog his memory on that one, or he
Sure.
probably had a lot of follow-up to the select board. There was one other thing. There was a request by Chris to actually have the boundary of the Beagle Club, like to have, to make that happen. It's been on the pending items for a long time. Chris, you want to say anything about that? What did he say about it? We're kind of suggesting that we just get somebody out there instead of waiting for him to do it.
Right. It was supposed to be Ed and Randall to do it, and I don't know why that ever really got assigned to both of them in the first place. But gosh, what did we say?
I think you had suggested getting Heritage out there or something, right?
Somebody else had said Heritage because they had done the original survey of the Beagle Club.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's going to cost us some money too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
if that's a great idea. I mean, I think.
I mean,
I don't know,
we have a survey from when the conservation land was made.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know why the Beagle Club people themselves can't understand their own boundary land and surveys and just move the fence where it needs to go. I mean, I just don't see why we have to take two townspeople during their work time to go look at a fence that the other people who own it ought to be able to put on the right part of the property. But anyway, I'm just trying to move it along but no, I don't particularly think heritage is the solution because it's going to cost money to do it. So
can I make a proposal here? Number one, what Diana just said, there is a survey done on the boundary, but it's been done from the Clearwater side, but it's the same boundary. Secondly, what, Chris, you shook your head?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Oh, and the second thing that I want to say, which I reported at a previous meeting, is that I had a conversation with their treasurer, and they're not saying for sure, but there's a glimmer of a possibility that at some point in time they might want to sell. What a perfect opportunity to get like a meeting to include maybe their treasurer and their president, anybody that wanted to, plus somebody from Conservation Commission, me, anybody from this committee that wants to go. And we utilize that opportunity for like conversation with them. And we start looking at that boundary and we don't make it a super big issue. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a conversation opportunity.
Yeah.
She's going to leverage the fence is what she's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's just been on our pending list on select board for a year now. And it's like, I was just trying to get rid of some of these old things that really don't have an action behind them. And
so there isn't a specific action determined at this point.
Not really, I don't think. I mean, somebody brought up the idea of heritage, but I don't think we didn't vote on anything. We kind of left it hanging again, I think. But I just don't think it's necessary that the town administrator has to go tromp out there and figure out the border line. But that was my opinion.
How do people feel about maybe if Marla and I want to kind of contact somebody from the Beagle Club and try to just set up a conversation and bring the survey map with us?
I think that's a good idea. If Marla would be on board.
I can't speak for Marla, so let me see what she thinks. Okay, just and I'll put that down on my list of to-dos.
Or somebody else from Concom if she doesn't want to do it. Delegate one of her people, Brittany or somebody maybe.
Right. Good point. Okay.
If it's at a time that is not a working day, I'm happy to try to arrange to go. I can also bring my beagle.
That'll do it. We'll bring Reenie's beagle.
That's a perfect way to go, Reenie. That's great.
I really like the idea of doing that and trying to. And I think it would be good for you, Reenie, if you could get there too. And we'll try to set it up for a non-work day. I mean, you work every day, but so okay. Let me just bring up one final thing here. We had talked about stop share. Whoops. I got to minimize my screen again. I want to finally just finalize this thing. Okay. Goals. So we talked about these before. I think we can wrap this up just to put down goals for open space of 2021. So the first one is we're going to, by the end of the year, finalize the land prioritization Excel sheet. And we're making great progress on that. We don't have to put names after these. We just started to stick some in. Charlie, you brought up this idea of a pollinator garden with evergreens, maybe a little bit later in the year. Do you want to keep this on the list for 2021 and you can start kind of looking into some of this?
Yeah, I think, again, my thesis was that there's a lot of open space in the town of Southampton, but its accessibility is limited to maybe fairly agile people, and to have places around, especially in the town center, in which people can go and sit and talk and have a garden and have at least some low maintenance plants. That seems like something that might be useful. Okay. Especially the idea that on Pomeroy Meadow, I see more people walking their dogs there on an average weekend than you probably see in our 700 acres of open space in a month.
Okay.
That's
all right.
the idea.
Okay, so we'll leave it on the list and we'll keep keep open the discussion, but, you know, we got a lot going on in the spring. So we'll keep this for further discussion a little later in the year. Low salt bylaw. I don't know.
That's tricky.
Maybe I'm going to propose we remove this one just because there's too much going on this year, including a lot of bylaws, right, guys?
Yep.
A walking park with accessibility in town center. I don't know. Can we say start to review? I mean, we're never going to achieve it in this year. Or should we get off? What do people think?
That will be hard to achieve. You know, not that we couldn't, you know, come up with some part of that could be achievable.
How about just begin to research?
Yeah.
These are just goals. This doesn't say to achieve them. It's just their goals.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, connect landowners. Well, this is definitely part of the grant, so that's on there. We'll achieve that this year. Complete the Barnes Aquifer education program maps and distribute them. That's going to get done this year. Yay.
Yay.
Support Friends of Southampton Open Space. We're definitely supporting them. So that's going to get achieved this year. Develop a communication process, possibly a newsletter concept regarding open space communication and education. I think that this is a great one and we should keep it on there, and a little bit later in the year, figure out how we could keep this going. And I'm just going to put research after this.
Cindy, can you send me this list, this edited list, once you're done with it for the minutes?
Maybe. Yeah.
I can't copy this.
I'm joking. Of course I can.
Okay.
I will. And then collaborate with neighboring towns relative to open space issues. I'm going to change that to as needed, because we need to keep open communication with them. And I just reported, I don't know if you heard this, Rini, that I'm meeting with some people from Easthampton around that property that's over by the on Cook County Road. I'm meeting with them on Tuesday.
Oh, good.
I'm not looking to have Southampton have to try to buy anything. It's in Southampton, but hopefully like Mass Fisheries and Wildlife or somebody would be able to meet this person's needs in terms of cell. And then Janet had this good one here. Bird sanctuary in one or more of the town conservation lands, work with Concom, DCR, and Kestrel. Educate. So I think beginning to find out how that would work, Janet, is a great one.
Yeah, I do too. Going back to the last one, the collaborate with other towns on open space issues. Should it be issues and plans or issues and concerns? Not only collaborate on issues, but collaborate on future projects or whatever. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, which I was going to bring up later on. Maybe here's a good place to do it in the reminder. Last week or something, they have a fantastic bioretention planter on Cherry Street that they proposed. And it's putting all kind of plants and walkways to retain water. And it's a filtration system. Did anybody see that article? It's the March 4th issue.
I did. Where's Cherry Street?
It's a bioretention planter on the end of Cherry Street in Lux. I don't know where Lux is, but...
Is that in Easthampton?
Yeah. It looks really cool.
It does look cool, yeah.
Yeah, I have an extra copy, Cindy, when I come by your house tomorrow.
Well, you can, but the question is, do we want to put that on our goals, or do we just want to be informed about?
No, it's just collaborate with other towns on open space issues, concerns, and future projects. I think something like that. And I mentioned to you that other article I brought you, that Easthampton is coming up with their open space and recreation plan. Easthampton is coming up with some really great ideas.
You're absolutely right. And they get great press in that little reminder, too, if you ask me. They get very good press.
Maybe we can work with them more than we do.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to email this to Diana. Is there any other reports or business or announcements that anybody wants to bring up?
You know, on the Zipka property, there was a memorial, bird. There's quite a few bird houses there.
There's a Kestrel project. That's what it is.
So what makes something a sanctuary? Do you know?
You can't have hunting.
You can't have hunting. Well, that makes sense. But I'm just wondering if,
Not a
I'd be interested in the definition of a sanctuary relative to what they, currently have, which is a lot of bird houses and a bird, like, they have like the listing of all the birds that, fly around that property.
Mhm.
I'm just curious what makes it a sanctuary.
I think that's what I've heard, that in a sanctuary, there's no hunting. In a conservation area, it's not a sanctuary, it's a Zipta Farm conservation area.
Yeah.
The only sanctuary that we have as far as is Manhattan Meadows. Maybe Wolf Hill? Wolf Hill?
Wolf Hill Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I know when I was on the Conservation Commission, we used to have complaints, as it were, because Mr. Fletcher would be tilling the soil, and any ground nesting birds would get annihilated in that process. So that was one point to the birds' husbandry on that property that was at least brought up to the Conservation Commission.
Interesting.
I do know there's a lot of hunting on the Zipta property because they bring out their pheasants and they let the hunters, hunt them in pheasant season. We know that.
There've been a lot of problems with vehicles on that property too, but they're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
So Janet, if you are going to be looking into bird sanctuary options for our town, maybe you can really clarify what the criteria are to meeting a sanctuary.
I will, because I've been in touch with Kestrel. They're working on a project to bring more kestrel birds into our area. And since we have converted our project here to forestry for the birds, I've contacted them to see what we can do here to bring more kestrel birds into our property.
There's pros and cons about kestrels, because they're predator birds. Yeah.
What are the pros and cons?
Well, kestrels are predators.
Oh.
So they kill other birds.
Wonder why kestrel wants us to be here. No, I didn't know that.
And I don't know what else maybe they do something else good, but my son has some bird boxes on his land and he told me kestrels
Are they big?
nice, but they also kill other birds.
Are they like crows or how big are they?
Not that big, but
They're hawks. They're a kind of a hawk.
Yeah.
Oh, huh.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard back from Kestrel since I asked him the question, but yeah, I'll try to get the definition of a sanctuary.
Good. Okay, so is there any other business to come before? What's our next meeting? Let's see here. It's March, so we've been doing the second Thursday of the month. Can we do April? I am not available April 8th. That's a Thursday. I won't be here.
Is Park never able to be with us on Thursdays? Is that why? Should we make it a night when someone can be represented in Parks?
I don't know if they were meeting tonight. I didn't see that on the calendar.
I didn't either. I just wondered if they haven't seemed to join us.
Well, I know that Paula was gone for a while and she's back in town.
Okay.
And Dan did have conflicts, but I did just hear from April. She couldn't make it because of work, but I didn't hear from either of the Parks people tonight. Sorry about that.
You want to go to the 15th, Cindy?
Can we do the 15th next month? I'm sorry, I set something up for the 8th myself. That's my mother's birthday.
Yeah.
But she's been gone for a few years. So let's do the 15th. Is that okay for everybody? That's tax day. Will you be?
Sure, you get your taxes in.
All right. So we'll do the next meeting is the 6 p.m. on the 15th of April. In the meantime, we can share information back and forth on email, but we cannot actually discuss. That's not okay. Do I
I
hear
have a question. I have a question, if I may.
Yeah.
The Friends of Open Space,
Yes.
do they have a charter, and do they have a process in which they function in pulling together money for open space? Is that documented anywhere? I have never seen anything about it.
Go onto their website, fosos.org.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
I have. I didn't think there was much in there.
There isn't much. Start there. Their board meeting is next Thursday night if you want to go, if you want to attend. I think they've not necessarily got a charter, but I do think they've jumped through all the necessary hoops to apply for the 501c3. They are running into a problem with getting a letter from the IRS. And that apparently is a fact, that they just really are. It's nothing they've done wrong. That's what I know.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, for example, if there's money sent to the Friends of Open Space for maybe a project that we as a committee have interest in, it would basically, do we have two bureaucracies that have to pass judgment as to what that money should be spent on? Does that make sense? No, not really. If someone gave money for one of our projects to the Friends of Open Space, and Friends of Open Space, do they have a deliberative function as to how any monies that are put in their domain versus what we think we wanted? Is there a conflict there?
Well,
possibly.
Diana had an experience where she requested that Friends of Open Space support the purchase of one of the benches. So she went to the meeting and they had the money in there and they voted and they approved it, right?
Okay.
Diana, is that what happened?
Yes, that's what happened. But yeah, I have right now, this is kind of like a problem. We're kind of like borrowing trouble here because they don't have any money, or they have very little money, or donors, or activity. So I think that's one of the things city's trying to promote them, and to try and get them up and going. But right now,
people know about them much.
That's right. We need to push that. I think Allison is absolutely wonderful, and she's very, very much behind it. But I think she's lost some of the people that were initially quite involved, and they've drifted away for their own good reasons, I guess. Well, so, Charlie, in answer to your question, we can't say to them, "You give us money for X." We can say, I do know of a circumstance where somebody donated money to them and then said, "I'm donating it in order to pay for something." One of the speakers, and they agreed to that. So if that works for somebody that wants to make a donation and maybe wants the nonprofit connection with that, they could do that.
Yeah. Okay. It seems like you have two deliberative bodies that have the right to pass judgment. If it initiates from the Open Space Committee and then goes over there, they have a right. With the bench, they deliberated and they supported the Open Space Committee, but in fact, they may have other objectives or something like that, and they may not.
That is true.
That to me is a little bit, it's almost like we should be one committee with a subcommittee.
We can't. We had Amanda Kemp come to our meeting, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and she, it can't be that the Open Space Committee, as a town committee, doesn't have a budget.
Yeah.
I mean, we were asking for something. We're asking for something kind of modest, basically to cover printing and mailing. We're not, I mean, if we need something else for anything, we go to either CPC or we went
through a lot of this, Charlie, like 2 or 3 years ago when trying to figure out how to get funding. Some towns, and this just came up in a webinar last night, have what's called a conservation fund, and they're able to use that for purchases, for land purchases. But people who donate to that, it's not anonymous. And I guess there was a feeling that some people would like to make anonymous donations, and you can to a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Christina Mattson mentioned a conservation fund in her presentation last Thursday, and I was wondering how it distinguished itself from the 501c3.
It's like a line item, I think, in the town budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
Conservation fund is a line item in the town's budget?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not an expert at that, but at any rate, it's town money. It's money that somebody would donate to the town for conservation.
Okay, town money, okay.
Yeah.
But Cindy, you and I have talked when we donate money to Kestrel, and we ask that a portion of the money go to the town of Southampton. And then I think you said that fund is going to be transferred eventually over to the Friends account. Is that happened?
No, it's not happened because they haven't gotten their IRS letter yet.
Legally, they can't do that
Yeah.
yet.
You know, if we run over budget for some reason on this neighborhood outreach thing, we could go to Kestrel and we could say, you know, we're over budget by a couple hundred or something, and we could ask for that money, which is earmarked for, and that they would have to approve it, but they would, unless it was nothing to do with open space. And that may be what we do.
Okay.
And that was just to educate Charlie. That was another option. Could Kestrel keep the donated funds? But the fees involved were discouraging.
Very discouraging, yeah. And there's other organizations that will allow us, that will, you know, hold the funds for us, but they also had administrative fees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're coming on 8 o'clock, everybody.
Okay.
Please take good care.
All right, good night,
Okay.
everybody.
I'm
Good
going to
night.
adjourn the meeting.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
7:54. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.